هبت نفحات أنسية فشد البلبل ألف تحية وبدا البدر الليلة شوقا يلقي الأنوار الذهبية هبت نفحات أنسية فشد البلبل ألف تحية وبدا البدر الليلة شوقا يلقي الأنوار الذهبية يلقي الأنوار الذهبية.
First of all, I want to increase myself in praying to Allah, to remain steadfast with Allah. Also, I want to make sure that I wake up every night to pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, as I have various matters of concerns which I wish to table before Him. Accordingly, I want to make sure that my fasts are actually in tandem with what Allah has actually prescribed. I want to refrain myself from those things that actually vitiate fasting. I want to vitiate myself from them. Accordingly, lastly, I want to make sure that I increase myself in the recitation of the Holy Quran. Inshallah, from my own plan, I wish to have at least 10 of the Holy Quran read during this beautiful month. And I pray that Allah assist me in my endeavors. Assalamu alaikum.
Subhanallah. Yeah, Sheikh, you too? What happened? What did I do?
What happened now? Wait. Talk to me, at least talk to me now. What did I do?
Assalamu alaikum. Assalamu alaikum. All the sisters and their pride. Even you too? You take alcohol?
No, it's not what you think.
Quite unfortunate.
No, wait, let me explain. Wait. Now, dear viewers, you might think that you've seen 3 scenarios where 3 various categories of persons are committing sins, but in reality, it is far from what actually happened. As for the first scenario where you saw a man coming out of a hotel, it doesn't mean he went there to fornicate or to party. He actually went there just to spend the night. But the brother who saw him could not make an excuse for him. In the second scenario, when the man greeted the sister and the sister did not respond, it doesn't mean she ignored the man's response out of arrogance or pride. Rather, she was with an earpiece or an earpod on her ears, so she couldn't even hear the taslim at all. But the man was not patient enough to make an excuse for him. And in the third scenario, the man you saw holding a bottle was only trying to dispose it. But the man who saw him thought he was drinking alcohol. Brothers and sisters in Islam, we need to imbibe the spirit of making excuses for people. Al-uzur, which means excuses. Before we judge people or before we criticize or think negatively about people, let us think of possible occurrences, possible positive occurrences before we think of even one negative thing. And let us always give people a chance to explain themselves, even if we find them in a situation that is doubtful or suspicious. Allah Azza wa Jalla in the Quran says, فَلَا تَجَسَّسُوا. Do not be spying on people. Do not be suspicious of people. إِيَّاكُمْ بِكَثِيرٌ مِنَ الظَّنِّ. Avoid too much suspicion. Because if you are a kind of person whose mindset is filled with so much suspicion, you will never see anything good in people. In the hadith of Abu Hurairah radiallahu anhu, الَّذِي أَخْرَجَهُ الْإِمَامُ الْبُخَارِي, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said that Ra'a Isa ibn Maryam rajulan yusarik, that the Prophet Isa alayhi salam once saw a man who was stealing. Faqala Isa, then Isa alayhi salam said, Sarakta, are you stealing? Faqala rajulun, but the man said, no, la wallahi lazi la ilaha illa huwa, I testify by Allah, I am not stealing. Then do you know what Isa alayhi salam said? Can you guess what he actually said? Isa alayhi salam said, Amantu billah wa kazabtu aini. I believe in Allah and I belie my eyes. To show that, okay, since you said you are not stealing, I belie what I just saw. I have believed you. That is it. That is how a Muslim should be. We should not be too suspicious of people or never give people chances to even explain themselves. The fact that you see a sister entering a man's car doesn't mean the man is trying to lure another man's wife to his bed. The innocent man might just be giving the sister a lift. So we ask Allah Azza wa Jal to purify our hearts, make us think positively of each other, and never allow us to be found wanting in suspicious situations. Jazakallahu Khairan.
يلقي الأنوار الذهبية يلقي الأنوار الذهبية.
When we say prayer, we mean dua or the supplications someone makes. That is the things that someone asks Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that he wishes Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to give him in return. And regarding the prayers that I do make, that I do incorporate into my daily life, yeah, I have a lot of du'as that I do make on daily basis. Among them is mathurat. In these mathurat, we have different kind of surahs and ayahs of the glorious Quran, and some specific du'a that are incorporated into these mathurat, that if someone makes them, they serve as du'a for protection, they serve as du'a for asking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for anything that someone needs, they serve as du'a for making supplications even on our deceased, on other persons that someone knows. And among the dua that I also do, that I also incorporate to my daily life, is the prayers that I do after observing salat. I have also imbibed that, I have also incorporated that into my daily life by making supplications every time after I conclude my salat. Also I do make supplications in the morning and the evening by making the morning and evening adhkar. After Salat al-Fajr, I do create some time for myself to recite the glorious Quran, and also to make supplications. And these supplications I do, and I believe they serve as protection for me. And I also believe that those supplications that I do in the morning, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is there to answer those prayers. And likewise in the evening too, after observing Salatul Isha and observing the necessary nawafil, I do create some time for myself to make supplications to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala even before going to bed. And also there is this important time for a Muslim, and a Muslim like myself, that I do create time for myself to make supplication, and this is the time we call Qiyamul Layl, which we also call Tahajjud. So during this time, I create avenue, and this means I'm even making the time that I'm supposed to be on bed, I'm supposed to be sleeping. During that time, I do use it as an opportunity to communicate with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and I also believe in myself that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is there to answer all these prayers.
You need someone that will help you to compete with yourself, to compete with him in righteousness. As Al-Hasan al-Basri rahmatullah alayhi said, if someone surpasses you in the matters of this dunya, in wealth, in the things of this dunya, then do not compete with him in that. Compete with him in righteousness. You need a friend that will inspire you to become a better person, a friend that will memorize Quran, and then you feel that you are yet to memorize the Quran, so you want to be like him, a friend that has memorized the hadith of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, a friend that puts Quran and hadith into action, that you want to be like him, you admire him, someone that becomes your role model or you become his role model. And that is the long and short of the friendship that Islam has encouraged us to have.
And look, the man will just be there, he will not be able to sleep again, because he will be thinking and wonder, oh my God, why has my own become like this? And some women, the moment their husband is not able to drop something, then she will just change completely. She will start keeping malice, she will start misbehaving just because she wanted that dress, that hijab badly, and the man says, I don't have the money yet. Learn to show mercy. Husband and wife, and the husband too, because the wife doesn't complain, you now take her for granted. because she will not ask, you take her for granted, because anything you say, she will say inshallah. Anything you say, she will say mashallah. If you say you don't have, she will believe you. If you say you are broke, she will believe you. And when you now have the money, you abandon her, you forget about her. You are so merciless.
When a woman gets married, the expectation is that the following month after the normal monthly period, the woman is supposed to conceive. If peradventure the woman doesn't, the first month, 3 months, 6 months, even up to 1 year, we start running alter-scatter. The fault, the complaint will not be focused on the man, on what could have happened to the man. Everyone, particularly in the local setting, will start looking at the woman as someone that probably had used or misused herself before getting into the marriage.
Islam says, "La tu'tu sufaha amwalakum." Number one is, don't give money to people who will squander it, people who don't know how to spend it. Okay, because somebody is complaining, I don't have a job, and you go and carry 5 million naira and say, you know what, go and start a business. And you know well that this person, in 2 days' time, he would have gone to Lagos, stay in hotels in 5 days, carry different women, and come back and he has nothing. So these are sufaha who don't know how to spend money. So Islam says, don't give them your money to waste. So meaning, we don't even have the right to waste the money that Allah has given us. Yes, you are the one that earned it. Yes, the check is carrying your name. Yes, the account is carrying your name. But Allah says, don't spend the money wrongly. Protect it.
So avoid those temptations. You're on social media, be mindful what you say. Be mindful what you post. You don't say because you want likes, you want to engage people, you want to while away time with the social media, you begin to tell lies. You show a picture of a town that's not yours, you say this is your town. People laugh and you think there's nothing wrong with that.
I tell people, fights don't destroy a marriage. How we fight is what will destroy a marriage. Because the things you say, how you look, the way your facial expression is. Some of us women, we fight as if we are men, and then we raise our voices. And it's like we want to intimidate and break our husband with our bad adab.
We are in a society where to eat is a serious problem, and that problem is escalating by the day, because what should have ordinarily gone into what is halal food for us, we are taking into the production of what is not halal.
Bismillah, alhamdulillah, wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulillah. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wahdahu la sharika lah wa ashhadu anna Muhammadan abduhu wa rasuluh. Amma ba'da, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. My respected viewers. Now, alhamdulillah for another of his favors upon us, the favor of extending us to have a long life to witness another Ramadan in our lives again. This is a favor. As you know, Ramadan comes with a lot of demerits that we know about it. So we just want to look at Ramadan in summary. What are the basic things, the rudimentary matters of Ramadan that every believer needs to remind himself about, be well acquainted with, and prepare himself to see that he does the very best of what he can. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala informs us in the Quran regarding Ramadan. So he said, Shahr Ramadan alladhi unzila fihi al-Quran. The month of Ramadan is the one in which the Quran was revealed. Hudan linnasi wa bayyinatin min al-huda furqan. To be a guidance for mankind and to be a proof, to establish guidance and also to establish the distinction between what is right and what is wrong. So then Allah said, whoever among you witnesses the month of Ramadan, that is alive, is healthy, and is at home, meaning he is not on a journey, then such a person must observe the fast. So it's a commandment from Allah that we have to fast in the month of Ramadan. And this is the fifth pillar of Islam. as we have it in the hadith of the Prophet Islam, Buni al-Islam ala khams. The Islam is built on 5 pillars. And then he mentioned all of them, and they mentioned Ramadan as Sawm Ramadan, which is the fasting of the month of Ramadan. So, and to that extent, what it means is that fasting is not, the fasting of Ramadan is not optional. It's actually obligatory. And when you say it's obligatory, every adult, sane, healthy, and resident Muslim, and some other matters of consideration, everyone who is free from anything that can hinder them from observing the fast, then it's obligatory on them to observe the fast. And what that means is that if they don't fast, then they are sinners. Not just sinners, they are from the people of major sins. And you know, major sins are sins that a person don't just sleep and rest on them. You have to make sincere tawbah to Allah if you ever fail to observe the fast of Ramadan. So if we know that this is the extent, the weight of the fasting of Ramadan, then it is something that is very important to pay attention to. What are those rudimentary things that we need to be well acquainted with? The Prophet Islam used to talk with the companions when Ramadan was set in, that atakum shahrun mubarakun, that a month, a blessed month has come to you, has visited you, has arrived upon you. Fihi laylatun khayrun min alfi shahr. In it you have a night that is better than 1,000 months. Fihi naam futihat abawabu al-jinan wa wulikat abawabu niran. That in it the doors of the paradise are left open and the doors of the fire are shut. And then he says it will be an announcement that ya baghi al-khair aqbil, O you that seek to do good, you that is after prosperity, after success, after salvation, aqbil, then you should move, come forward. This is the time for you to take advantage to get the very best of what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has in stock for the righteous. Waya baghi al-shar, and you that want to do evil, you that want to disobey Allah, you that want to commit sins, you want to commit atrocities, aqsir, this is not the time. You have to cut down on that. You have to arrest yourself. You have to tame and arrest these desires and force yourself to just comport with what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants from you. This is the month of Ramadan. And the Prophet Islam said, every night, lillahi utaqa minan nar. Every night Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sets people free from the fire of hell. This is the month of Ramadan. So if we have the knowledge of all of these virtues of the month of Ramadan at the back of our mind, then they form a reason for us to know that we have to work to get the very best out of the month of Ramadan. So what are those things that are very important that we have to know in this fasting? The number one thing, and which is the primary thing, is the fasting itself. The fasting itself, that we have to fast in this month. Do you know that the starting of Ramadan is either going to be with the sighting of the moon after the count of 29 days from the month of Sha'ban, or if the month of Sha'ban does not end at 29, then we count the month to be 30 days. Thereafter, we commence the fasting of Ramadan, meaning the month of Ramadan would have set in. So this is the beginning. And it's important that the believer has to take this from the Prophet Islam. Sumu li ru'yatihi wa aftiru li ru'yatihi. You should fast when the moon has been sighted. The crescent of Ramadan is sighted. And you should stop fasting when the crescent of Shawwal is sighted. The importance of this information is to say that the guideline on how the fasting should be started is already set by the Prophet ﷺ. No one should create anything for himself. You don't say that I'm not going to follow this person. This is the person I will follow. I don't belong here. I belong there. if it is possible for the Muslims globally to be united, the sighting of the moon in one country is enough and suffices for all of the countries of the world, according to one of the very strong opinions of the ulama. Because it is one moon. It's just a matter of the difference in geographical location. That is why we will not see the moon at the same time. Otherwise, the same moon that is sighted in Saudi Arabia, that same moon will be sighted anywhere that has the time zone ahead of them. So this reason, the sighting of the moon at one end is sufficient for every other place. But if the people have not all unanimously agreed that they want to work with it, then everybody should work with the imam of their region. So that whatever the imam of your region, for example, we are in Nigeria, or you are in UK, you are wherever, whatever the imam of the Muslim, the person that we regard as our leader in the place, says about that, this is what we are supposed to go with. Normally, every place they will have a committee to search for the crescent. So the committee will come with the information, and it's not from what is correct that a person will sight the moon on his own and then start the fast on his own. We are expected to fast collectively and break the fast collectively. It's an ibadah that is collective, not individual. And that's why there is a lot of discussion around this matter, but we'll just leave that. So importantly, the fasting of Ramadan starts with the sighting of the moon, or the completion of the counting of the days in Shaban to be 30. After that, we have started the fast. Importantly too, the person who is going to do the fasting of Ramadan has to take his intention. You know, intention has two matters in it. One of the matters is to specify what you are doing. Now, the fasting of Ramadan is an obligation that we have to carry out as Allah has commanded. So we are doing that on one hand. So you differentiate between the fact that you are fasting Ramadan from your fasting 3 days, for example, every month, or your fasting Monday and Thursday. There is a difference between this. So we know it's Ramadan fast we are doing. This is the first intention, that it is Ramadan fast I am doing. The second matter in the intention is that you are fasting for the sake of Allah. You are fasting for the sake of Allah. So you have to make your sincere intention that you are hoping that Allah will accept this fasting from you. You want to do it the very best you can, how excellently as you can. That is how you want to do it, so that it will be acceptable to Allah. إِنَّمَا يَتَقَبَّلُ اللَّهُ مِنَ الْمُتَّقِينَ. Allah will only accept from those who fear Him, those who consciously do what they are doing, knowing that Allah is watching them, knowing that Allah has set rules, knowing that Allah has conditions for this duty to be carried out. So he pays attention to those conditions, those rules, those matters that concern the doing of this ibadah excellently. Then this is al-muttaqu. This is the one who is fearing Allah. So Allah will accept it from him. So a person should do the best he can to make his fast acceptable. The fasting is for Allah's sake alone. That's why the hadith is relevant, where the Prophet ﷺ said that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that kullu anam amali bani Adam lahu, that all the work of the son of Adam, your salah, your sadaqah, your hajj, they belong to you. Illa siyam, or less fasting. Fa innahu li wa ana ajzabi. For fasting belongs to me, and I am the one in the best position to reward the one who has fasted. So Allah is the one that will pay a person who is fasting with what measures to what befits the person. So the measurement is not there, but Allah will reward the person who is fasting. So sincerity included with our intention is one of the very essential matter of the fast. And then you know, the marking of the fasting is from Fajr to Maghrib. From Fajr to Maghrib. Fajr is the appearance of the dawn. Then Maghrib is the setting of the sun. Many of the time it's difficult for people to know when the dawn has appeared. So it's important that they could use estimated timing that you have maybe as apps in phones or calendars that are issued by some of the established committees of Islamic works. Now, we can use any of these as a guide. Combine it with our physical observation of the weather to see that we are in line. Now, so Fajr, so you want to eat before Fajr. Once Fajr has come, that is when it is time for the morning prayer, then you are to stop eating. This is what Allah means when He said that وَأَتِيمُوا الصِّيَامَ إِلَى اللَّيْلِ. You should complete the fasting till when night comes. When night comes here is when the sun will set.
I'm Nuruddin Asunoge. I want to implore each and every one of you to keep watching Amana Foundation programs on all the platforms that they have. You can be sure that you will be greatly enriched if you do.
Now, you know, we have adhan in the morning. So sometimes the adhan of the muadhin is not the time that that the Fajr has just set in. In some places, you may have muadhin that are calling the adhan before the Fajr, so which is not supposed to be. So we are supposed to call the adhan as soon as Fajr has set in. And then that marks the beginning of our abstaining from food and drink and intercourse, sexual intercourse with our wives till dawn. Till dusk in the evening. Now, so it is important to take note of this matter. The Prophet Islam said that the angels of Allah, they are supplicating for Allah's blessing for everyone who take the sahur, which is the food that you are going to eat in the morning to commence the fasting. So a person should eat this food, not just as a food, but as an ibadah with which he is seeking reward. So the one who cannot eat solid food should look for liquid food that they are going to take. Just find something that you are going to put in your mouth to mark your sahur, the beginning of your fasting, seeking the blessing thereby. And equally, the Prophet Islam has said, what differentiates the fasting of the Muslims from the fasting of the people of the book is the taking of the sahur. So you differentiate yourself from the people of the book, the kuffar, by taking your sahur. So it's not just about, well, I don't need it, I don't feel hungry, or I don't feel, no. Take the sahur for the benefit that comes with it. Medically, it's equally important. You should take the sahur. Anything can happen along the line of your fasting. Of course, yes, it's allowed that if we are fasting and anything happens that warrants that we have to break the fast, it's allowed. The fasting can be broken. Somebody fell sick, somebody fainted, somebody had an injury. Any of these matters, when they happen, if it's so severe, so serious, that the fasting may have to be broken, then you break the fast. So this taking of the sahur is one of the matters. Then the taking of the iftar, which is the breaking meal, is at sunset. Just as we said about the fajr, the muazzin may not call the adhan exactly at sunset. So what's important is to know when is sunset. What sun has said, take the breaking meal. And then there is excellence, there is merit in doing that early. Eat your sahur early, your iftar early. As soon as the sun set, break your fast. This is an act of righteousness. Then, from the matters of importance that we pay attention to while we are observing the fast is to stay away from sins. Stay away from sins. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala commanded fasting and said, Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu, kutiba alaykumus siyamu kama kutiba ala alladhina min qablikum la'allakum tattaqun. Believers, you have been commanded to fast as it was commanded to those who came before you. The essence is for you to acquire the piety, the consciousness of Allah. This is the essence of the fasting. So the one who is fasting should be afraid of committing sins, because his sins can reduce the reward of his fasting and may destroy it completely. This is the meaning of the statement of Prophet Islam, that Allah will have nothing to do with a person not eating their food, drink, and the rest in the name of fasting, and maybe also not sleeping at night in the name of standing up to observe the prayers, if the person cannot go away from qawlu zur, false statement, lying, backbiting, sinful talks in all their forms. If a person can stay away from this, then Allah has nothing to do with their fasting. And then foolish behavior, according to one of the narration, or raising voices, shouting, quarreling. No, they are not compatible with fasting. As why the Prophet said, if you're fasting, somebody picks up a quarrel with you, you should tell the person, in Niswaim, I am fasting. The fasting person does not shout. He doesn't get angry and begins to think that everything, heaven must fall and all of that. No, the fasting person does not do this. He tries to be calm, he tries to be gentle, he tries to be very polite, he tries to be very patient. And hence, anywhere, circumstance, situation that may provoke him, he should avoid them. Go away from places where you may be provoked. Go away from places where you may be pushed to commit sins. The fasting person should not be the one who is looking at women who are not well dressed. Even those who are well dressed, you cannot be looking at women lustfully while you are fasting. You can't be watching indecent films in the name of whiling away the time while you are fasting. You can't be listening to music while you are fasting. So you have to make your fast really weighty. By be careful, be mindful of what you are doing, what you are saying with your mouth, what you are looking at with your eyes, what you are listening to with your ears, what you are doing with your hand, where you are going to with your feet. Everything you have to just be very, very careful not to destroy your fast. The Prophet ﷺ said it, as you know. Rubba Sa'im, how many a fasting person, they will not get a reward for their fasting, and they will not get a reward for their waking up to pray at night apart from hunger and thirst and denial of sleep to themselves. The only thing they will get is that they want themselves out. By engaging in these exercises, they will not get any reward. What will cause that? It is because while these exercises were being carried out, a person did not stay away from what they needed to stay away from. So we have to stay away from sins. Yes, you cannot be perfect, but don't deliberately commit sins. Don't knowingly commit sins while you are fasting. That's not to say that when we are not fasting, we can commit sins. The fasting is a period of time where you can engage yourself in this act of staying away from sin, so that after the Ramadan, you can become a better person. The expectation will be that you can sustain everything you have tried to do while in Ramadan across the other months of the year. So the fasting person should stay away from sins and everything that can destroy their fast. From that is lying, backbiting, gossiping, deceiving people, rumor mongering, causing confusion, saying anything you hear, you say it. The Prophet ﷺ said it is sufficient for a person to be a liar that everything he hears is what he says. It's not everything you hear you say. It's what you have verified you will say. And you will determine whether even after verifying it, it is important to say it. You must not say everything. So the fasting person should be highly disciplined. Highly disciplined. Is of the highest, highest level of moral character, manners, behaviors, attitude. This is what to expect from a fasting person. Now, then, going with this as a way of really making the fasting meaningful is performing the night prayers, which we already in a way indirectly made reference to. The Taraweeh, the night prayers in Ramadan, they are not compulsory, but highly meritorious. The Prophet ﷺ said, the one who completes his prayer with the Imam in the masjid, it will be written for him like he has performed the prayer for the whole of the night. So this is sufficient for a person to find reason to participate in the night prayer. Don't miss the night prayer. It is muakkada, it is highly emphasized, because the Prophet ﷺ was never reported to have missed the night prayer in Ramadan. So if people could miss the night prayers in other months than Ramadan, then in Ramadan they should not miss the night prayer. And that's why it's recommended, pray these prayers before you go to bed. Because if you go to bed, you may not wake up. Even though the best is to pray them in the latter part of the night. The best is to pray them in the latter part of the night, because at that time more additional benefits come That's the time Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is accepting the du'as of the people, the forgiveness of the people, the repentance of the people. That's the time Allah mostly accepts it. So, but if you cannot do this, then pray with him. And then it's better to pray with the imam than to pray alone. So join the imam. If the imam prays early, pray early with him. If he prays late, try to see how you can join him to do the prayer. And then the imams should try to make it easy for the people. Do the prayer in a way that people will be encouraged to participate in it. But the believers, it's a month of hard work. It's highly recommended that these prayers should really be very, very filled with time. They should be filled with a lot of beneficial contents. And what is meant by that is the prayers should be long. But many of the people in this time, we are weak. So we cannot stand long. Before the imam has recited, for example, Surah Naba, somebody will say that this imam wants to kill people. So the imam looks at the people. Don't, for this reason, think that, no, I must recite Baqarah. No. Look at the people. If they can cope with what you want to do, then put that into consideration and lead them with what is convenient for them. Now, everybody will get the reward as long as they have participated in the prayer. So these night prayers, they are not something that people should stay away from. They are a way of cementing the reward of the fasting. As the Prophet ﷺ said, "Man soma Ramadan imanan wa ihtisaban, ghufira lahu ma taqaddama min dhanbi." Then he also said, "Man qama Ramadan imanan wa ihtisaban, ghufira lahu ma taqaddama min dhanbi." So these rewards are there. Whoever fasts Ramadan with faith and with hope in Allah's reward, whoever stands the night prayers with faith and with hope in Allah's reward, every sin he has committed in the past, Allah will forgive him. So the night prayer should not be played with. Then, along with this is commitment to recitation of the Quran abundantly. Recite the Quran a lot, because the month of Ramadan is as good as the month of the Quran. So in it, don't try to miss out anything at all. The Quran, you can complete it minimum. You can complete it 10 times. Finish it one round every 3 days. Every 3 days. Okay, maybe you say maximum. I'm saying minimum. No, maximum. Once every 3 days. But if you can't do that, maybe once every 10 days, once every 7 days. Just try to be very busy reading the Quran in the month of Ramadan. Mudarasa of the Quran too is part of the exercise to engage in, that is studying the Quran among ourselves. This is the essence of the tafsir of the Quran that the ulamas, they organize in different places. So attend this tafsir to hear the words of Allah, to hear the explanation of what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has revealed as a way of strengthening our iman. You know, there is no time, as the Prophet ﷺ said, the people gather to study the book of Allah, except that Allah's mercy is going to surround them. Allah's angels are going to mount themselves above them, and Allah's sakina, Allah's tranquility is going to descend upon them. This is from the benefit of gathering like this. And then remember the reward for reciting the Quran. For every letter, it is hasana for you. And then this is the month of Ramadan. You are reciting the Quran. So just imagine the reward that you are going to be getting.
وبدا البدر الليلة شوقا يلقي الأنوار الذهبية.
Don't fail to watch out for the very ultimate essence of Ramadan, witnessing the Laylatul Qadr. Witnessing the Laylatul Qadr, the night of decree, the night of majesty, the night of power. Allah Ta'ala says in the Quran, Laylatul Qadri khayrun min alfi shahr. The night of majesty is better than 1,000 months. The night of majesty is better than 1,000 months. In all sense. The ibadah you do 1,000 months, the ibadah you will do in just one night of Al-Qadr will be better than it. So don't miss it. And where is this Laylatul Qadr? Prophet Islam has guided us. It is in the last 10 nights of Ramadan. And more likely in the last, the odd ones among the last 10 nights of Ramadan. 21, 23, 25, 27, 29. Then very rarely it can also be in the even nights. So don't let these nights go, these last 10 nights, except that you are engaged in ibadah, salah, recitation of the Quran, sadaqat, tawbah, istighfar, and so on and so forth. Take time, use the time to make the very best you can, because that's the last, you know, the last part of everything is the best part of that thing. The last 10 days of Ramadan, they are the best part of Ramadan. Then the Prophet Islam equally in some of the narration has specified that Laylatul Qadr is on the 27th night of Ramadan. So what the ulama make from this is that it is mostly in the 27th night, not that it is fixed to the 27th night. So it all still boils down to the fact that make effort in all of the last 10 nights. And you will not make effort in all of the last 10 nights, except that biiznillah, you would have gotten Laylatul Qadr, inshallah. So don't allow this to miss you. And then this one now takes us to another very important matter, which is a means to assisting you to get the Laylatul Qadr, going on Itikhaf. Going on Itikhaf. Itikhaf is to go in seclusion in the masjid, whereby you have devoted yourself completely. You have cut yourself away from dunya. You cut yourself away from the world. Your wife, your family, your businesses, your everything dunya, you cut yourself away from me. You come to the masjid, Allah, labbaik. I have come at your service. I want to worship you. I want to give the very best I can of my time, energy to you. So you engage in this in the last 10 days of Ramadan, days and night together. So when a person does this, know how the person is going to get Laylatul Qadr biiznillah. So these are from the things that a person can try to work towards. And then ending the Ramadan is with Sadaqatul Fitr or Zakatul Fitr, which is a measurement of a given form. To be specific, it is 1 sa'a, which is 4 mudus for every person, every Muslim. A man will give for himself and those who are under his care, his wife, his children, even the slaves that are under his care. He will give a measurement of Zakatul Fitri to them. It goes with a lesson from Ramadan. The experience of hunger and thirst in Ramadan gives us a taste of what the people, the less privileged ones, they go through. So at the end of Ramadan, Allah is saying that we should give out sadaqat. The Prophet Islam said regarding this, so that you will free the poor people from begging on the day of Eid. And that's why the Zakatul Fitri has to be given before the Eid. And some of the ulama say that you can give it 2 days, a day before Eid, depending on the environment that you are. The distance it may take to get the material to reach those who are going to use it may make it not be useful if you have to wait till the Eid day. So it could be sent out a day or two before Eid, so that the people that want to use it will be able to put use to it. In addition to Zakatul Fitri, you can add anything. So if you give maize, you give rice to somebody, if you add 1,000 naira or whatever to assist the person to be able to make a meal out of that, now this is equally recommended. So this is how the Ramadan may be summarized. It's a month of working on our fear of Allah, working on ourselves, how to fear Allah, how to be conscious of our duties to Allah, how to be more committed with our duties to Allah, so that at the end of Ramadan, if Allah wills, we will become better Muslims, we will become more God-fearing. It will have affected us all around, our behaviors, our character, how we live with our family, how we live with our neighbors, how we live with people in general. There should be a change, because the more you fear Allah, the more you walk to give everybody their right. The more you will want not to cheat on anyone. You will not want to offend anyone. You will not want to hurt anyone. You will not want to be the reason why somebody is bittered, somebody is pained, somebody is depressed, somebody is suffering. You will not want to be the reason. So this is from the gains that we start to get from the month of Ramadan. And we should really set this target for ourselves, that by the end of this Ramadan, we want to become better Muslims. Of course, we have had many Ramadan before now in our lives. So what difference will it make? Because we are insane, we are weak, we suffer depreciation, we suffer diminishing return in our commitment to the deen. So Ramadan comes to rejuvenate us, so that we become better by the end of Ramadan, and then we have a spirit to push harder in the other months of the year. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make our fasting of this Ramadan to be a very rewarding one, a very excellent one, the acceptable one that will be better than any that we have ever done before. We ask Allah to forgive me, the speaker, and you, the listeners. Definitely, wherever I have said it rightly, this is from the grace of Allah. Wherever I have got it wrong, surely that is from myself and from the shaitan. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to forgive us. We ask Allah ta'ala to protect us from the evils we do and the evils of the shaitan. أقول قولي هذا واستغفر الله لي ولكم سبحان الله وبحمده سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
شوقا يلقي الأنوار الذهبية هبت نفحات أنسية فشد.
Firstly, I would like to thank my parents, most importantly my mom. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala continue to enrich them, because they've done a lot, and also my Ustadh Abdulhafeez for impacting the knowledge of Islamic. The little I know is just for him, and I pray Allah reward him and his family abundantly. And I would also like to thank my family and my friends, my classmates. I would like to thank everyone. May Allah reward them abundantly.
أنتم أجمل فالأشعار تراقص بشرا وسرى الحب كماء الجدول أهلا 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 المحفل أنتم أبهى أنتم أجمل فالأشعار تراقص بشرا وسرى الحب كماء الجدول قد شرفتم حفل السمر مثل نجوم حول القمر قد شرفتم حفل السمر مثل نجوم حول القمر جئتم للأفراح طيورا تشدو حبا فوق الشجر تشدو حبا فوق الشجر تشدو حبا فوق الشجر.